Welcome to Breakfast with Beefcake, episode 1, where Vaughn and I go back to one of my earlier blog posts of September 14th, 2015, which is essentially my race report of Stanky Creek 25K, 50K, and the title of it is Sometimes All That Anyone Needs to Know is That Somebody Gives a Shit. And you can find this blog post at liftheavyrunlong.com. And Vaughn and I essentially just discuss the contents of this blog and talk about what's going on. I hope that you enjoy it. So here we are, Breakfast with Beefcake, episode 1.
What made you choose this topic?
I went back to the first one.
Is that the first one, really?
It's the first one on the Lift Heavy Run Long site.
Awesome.
I have more blogs over on the Beefcake Lift Heavy Run Long, but I didn't transfer all those over.
Okay, I got you.
So this is the first blog that I posted on liftheavyrunlong.com.
Nice. I didn't run this race.
No, but you were there, and that was important.
I brought my dog.
You did bring your dog.
Uh-huh.
You brought my lady as well.
It's funny because when you sent me the link to the article, it took me like 10, 15 minutes to like remember everything. You know what I mean? Like it was just a year ago, but I was like, man, did I run that race? Which one was that? Was it the one I took my dog to? Was it, you know what I mean? Like, cause
yeah, there was a side of me that felt like, man, that was forever ago. And then another side of me that was like, wow, that just happened.
It's not even a year.
No. And that was such a turning point in my life. Like that was such a big, that was the day that I felt comfortable, that I became comfortable running and, really like started to embrace more than anything, all the people in the community. I felt like so supported. You brought Amanda out there, and you and Brian Swanson were out there, and I was running with Lomax and Brian Williams and all the people that were there just hanging out. There's a lot of people just chilling.
Right.
Set up like some kind of Grateful Dead concert or something.
Well, that's the ultra for you.
That is the ultra.
Right.
That's the difference.
It was funny because Amanda called me. I was trying to remember exactly how it went down, but Amanda, your wife, called me and said he doesn't know I'm going to be there. I think I picked her up at the gym or something. I think we met somewhere and then drove down there.
Well, she left the house in her work clothes. She had to be at work at 6 or 6:30, and so she left the house in scrubs. And then you pull up with this good-looking woman and that good-looking woman was not Holly. I was like, what's going on here? All right. Well,
that's the thing. See, that's the thing I was saying. Like, I was trying to remember exactly how that happened because I had the dog, and I do not remember riding down there with Amanda and the dog. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know how that worked.
I don't either.
That was a good day. Most
days. That's a cool race. Yeah.
Are you going to run it this year?
I was just thinking about that because I just realized that it's August and that race is, I guess, a month away. I don't think I'm going to, no.
I bet you wind up running it. I bet that happens.
That's usually what happens.
I like doing this Breakfast with Beefcake, if for no other reason than because it forces you to read my blog.
I read it the first time, and I read it again last night.
Well, good. I want you to have to read it all the time. I'm just going to start calling you every night with a quiz. This past year was really cool, like temperature wise. I remember y'all saying that, the year before had been more hot, and it was not. It was really comfortable.
Oh man, I did that. I guess it was the year before 50K, whereas like one of the only races I took my shirt off. or probably the only race I've ever taken my shirt off.
The year before, I sure as hell should have taken my shirt off because my nipples almost fell off. I changed shirts during that race and still was bleeding out of both of them. That one, I did the 25K the year before.
Right.
And I felt like that was some kind of cruel joke. I mean, I didn't know what I was walking into there.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that too.
Prepared for glide or anything.
Is this one the one with the boiled eggs?
The year before was the one with the boiled eggs, yes.
Not this year.
Not this year. The year before I did 25K, and that was as far as I had ever run. And I showed up. I didn't have any glide. I had eaten some truck stop eggs and wearing a cotton shirt and just these long shorts that were made for, I don't know what they were made for. Like,
and you asked if you could borrow my body glide. And I said, okay, just keep it. I don't need to have it back after you use it.
Not before you stood there for a uncomfortable period of time. Like, did this bitch just ask me to use my glide? And then you look over at your friends like Brian and Brad Montgomery, and they're all like, who is this dude? Like, is he homeless? Did he just show up here from the woods?
That's pretty funny.
That was a long day. Well, this past year, it meant a lot to me. I'm reading about all the events leading up to that. And that was as good of a day as I've had running. I think I finished that in it still took me 7 hours. But the first year, it took me 4 hours to do half of that. 4 hours and 10 minutes to do half of that.
Well, I mean, it's just fun having all the people out there. I mean, that was huge. Like, it's so much fun hanging out in the tent, and we made signs. And then probably the funniest thing of the day, we laughed so hard about those signs. And there's a picture on the blog, and I'm holding a sign that says "You run good."
Which is totally like something that was what you would come up with. Like, everybody come up with an idea and make a sign. Everybody say something creative, and Bob's like, "Okay, here's my project."
No, that's not how. No, how it happened was there were signs, and someone said, "Okay, we have to make the signs," and I said, or I didn't say anything, and everybody just kind of sat there, and they were like, "What are we going to put on the signs?" And everybody was like, "I don't know. I can't think of anything. I'm not very creative." and everybody just kind of sat there for like 5 minutes, and I was like, "Okay, fine. I'll make a sign." And it was like, I'm just going to do "You run good." Or actually, I think I was going to do "I run good." And I laughed about that for a while, and then I decided on "You run good." Which is really, really funny, man. Like, we laughed for so long about that, and in fact, I should make a bumper sticker or something that says "You run good."
You should. It just shows how much time there is to sit out there, how much time there is to kill, but also how important it is that, I circled the 50K was 4 laps. So that's what makes it exciting, is knowing that, you're 2 miles or 3 miles or whatever, you get to see everybody else again.
Right.
And so it's nice to come around and see that y'all have done something with your time, something constructive, like making signs that say "You run good."
Right.
I was writing about, I was laughing because I was writing about what the fourth lap felt like.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I felt as if every nook and cranny of my feet were being injected with molten lava. I told Amanda that my Mad Eye Moody hips had kicked in. I was literally laughing at my legs' unwillingness to listen to my arms' desires. Just keep swimming. I said, before I knew it, I looked like my lower body was doing a C-3PO impersonation, while my upper body looked like Broby from Yo Gabba Gabba, all
That's my favorite part.
hyped up on Mountain Dew. I look like a mall walker with a lot of crack and little coordination. Oh, that feeling is so bad.
That's brilliant writing right there.
That's so bad. That's funny. And, you know, I went into that with very little like miles. I go on to write about the lack of mileage that kind of went into all of my races, really, and how I do this not for the mileage. I don't run a lot of miles, but I do this because it's fun, and there's a lot of people that are fun to do that with, you know, whether that be CrossFit or running or yoga or Zumba or whatever your thing is. It's great to get out and do those things with community.
You know, what's funny about this is I read in here that it caught my eye last night where it says early on, I can't find it, but it says it's something to the effect of early on when I first started, I was craving someone to tell me exactly what to do. Like I needed a coach or something like that. But now you're like completely the opposite. And it goes into like, I just do whatever I want. I was like, at what point did he ever really want anybody to tell him what to do? I don't think that's, at that point, I must not have even known him at that time.
I think I wanted the excuse of someone telling me what to do and not getting any better. I don't think that there was ever a point that I really wanted somebody. You know, if I get a coach, I'm really just setting that coach up as somebody for me to be angry at.
Right.
You know, like I'm doing everything that you say. I've never done anything that anybody has really suggested that you know was going to be beneficial from a training standpoint.
But there's something to be said for that, though. Like the part where you talk about Amanda, and she's just like, she must have ran 6 miles and just does whatever she wants. But there's something to be said for, I can train and just be comfortable and just enjoy it and relax and do whatever I want and still go and do the race. You know what I mean? I'm still here training. You know, if I want to run, I do. I enjoy my runs. You know, I don't punish myself, and I'm still able to go and complete this race. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of people out there that are like, do not enjoy training. You know, there's a lot of people out there that are just like killing themselves, and they're like, feel like they have to do that. You know what I mean?
And that will erode into every area of your life. I mean, when you're training and you're tired and you're worn out and you don't want to be doing it, there's nothing worse than that. I mean, you
should just stop.
Yeah. I mean, you could be tired and miserable on the couch and eating a bunch of junk food, which is better than being tired and miserable and worn out sitting, you know, doing mile after mile of hard work. And
Right.
man, you know, kind of building that identity with yourself in your own head that I can muscle through these things, and discovering that you can muscle through these things. I think that helps, just the mental aspect of it, even above the physical part. I think that these trail runs and these endurance runs, for like I do, which is not a whole lot of running even. I mean, it's just making some cutoff times. You know, that's mental. That's not physical. The people that are out there finishing, you know, in the top 30%, those are people that train. And if you want to finish like that, you got to train like that. But if you just want to come out and enjoy some, and after
that's
that, you know,
that's what that guy, or that's what yesterday we were talking about with Paul, and he was talking about taking people up the mountain. I mean, that you can train and be fit and do lots of things, but the lesson that you learn in the endurance event is the endurance piece, like the real endurance piece, where you don't have anything left to give, but you don't have a choice. You have to keep moving, you know, and that is where that's where the experience is. And that's where you really learn about yourself.
Right. Getting to that point is the fun part. I mean, that's what you're working. That's what you sometimes forget in the big picture is you're really working to get to that point of exhaustion and fatigue to where you just feel pretty confident that I can't go any farther, because that's where the magic happens. That's when you get to see I can go farther. I did go farther. And that carries on into your daily life when you feel like I just can't get out of bed. I can't face this Monday. I can't go talk to my boss. I can't go talk to my wife. And you learn I can do those things. If I could finish the last 3 miles of that race, I can approach my boss about something I'm happy with.
Absolutely. And that's why you keep going back for that experience, like you had at Sylamore, where you're at the last aid station and the guy's like, oh, well, you guys got to stop because you didn't make the cutoff. And you're like, nope, we're just going to keep going. You know, like
I just can't do that.
You could have easily said, oh, okay, sure, I'll jump in the truck. I don't need to run these last 6 miles. You know what I mean? But you didn't. You're like, no way, man. I'm taking off.
This means too much to me, and this really doesn't have anything to do with Sylamore. This has everything to do with what I want in my life. And speaking of that, it talks about in this blog, I write about when I first started the journey to lift heavy, run long, and how important that was to me to be a part of the 5,400 club. I hate even calling it a club. You know how I feel about being all inclusive. A club, I feel like I'm keeping people out or giving people swirlies not to come in. Or so the 5,400 group was something that I so desperately needed and wanted to be a part of for my own feeling of worth. And somewhere throughout this, the people that I met and the races that I ran and the more comfortable I got with CrossFit, that became held far less weight, became far less important. That was still my goal, but I had developed the self-confidence enough to where I was comfortable being me without needing that. And I think there's a lot to be said about setting a goal and accomplishing a goal. And while it was really important for me to meet that goal, the most important thing was the growth and the confidence that came on the journey.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that people overlook the journey, can't see the forest for the trees, because they get their mindset on achieving that goal, and everything in between the setting of the goal and the accomplishing of the goal is miserable. And I don't think that's what it's all about. I think that in-between time is the opportunity for growth, and I think it's the opportunity to form relationships and meet people on your journey and take other people with you to accomplish those things.
Right. They don't notice the little accomplishments in between. Right. Like we were talking about, like that first mile, the first 2 miles, first 3, like I just ran further than I've ever gone before. Like they don't pay attention to that. They just well, I still haven't ran a marathon. Like I really want to run a marathon, but you just ran 5 miles for the first time in your life.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And they skip that victory and go straight to, man, but that 5 miles was so slow. Or it's not the half marathon, or, whatever it is, but really, really hard on ourselves. And I'm as bad as anybody else, but I'm getting better. And with that, I get to learn that you can practice that. you can practice being nicer to yourself and being happier
Mm-hmm.
overall.
And you should.
Absolutely should. Yeah, because it's important to everybody around you.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote about in this blog, ironically, the same thing that I talked to my dad about 2 days ago, because the week of this Sylamore race, Stanky Creek in 2015, he had told me that he had gone to had woken up on a Saturday morning, gotten online, and went over to a local park and registered for a 5K. And he completed a 5K without telling anyone. He had been training for it, and which was incredible. You know, he's almost 70 years old.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And he put his mind to this, and he did the 5K. And the first thing he tells me about is, oh man, you know, I was so slow. I was way back in the back, and you know, it was really just walking as much as it was jogging, and it was just making me sick to hear about. Just stop,
Mm-hmm.
stop. You know, nobody cares about any of that. Anybody that cares about you does not care about your time. And
Mm-hmm.
everyone who cares about you is proud of the fact that you got up and did something, whether it be a 5K or a 1K.
It's crazy how people think that way. You know, like it's not just your dad. It's most people. Like most people default to, well, that wasn't that great.
Yeah, I've got a friend of mine that he's one of those guys that can change himself just when he gets bored and decides to change himself. You see him one time and he's all jacked and he's swell up and he looks like some kind of, you know, bodybuilder, linebacker build. So then he decides, I want to lean out. So he starts running, and so he loses 20 pounds and he gets that lean kind of chiseled look. Well, then, you know, a few weeks later, you'll see him and he's off to something else. And I asked him about that. Man, that must be great to be able to transform your body whenever you want to. And his response, I'll always remember, was, man, you just need to be happy with where you are, because every time I get to the place that I told myself I wanted to get to, I want to be somewhere different. You know, so he struggled. Regardless of wherever he got to, he wanted to be somewhere else. And so his point was, learn to be happy where you are. Even if you're going somewhere else, learn to be happy with where you are in that journey.
Right on.
So I think there's a lesson to be had there. What do you got going on today?
When we get off of this call, I'm going to go run. This will be day 10 of my run streak, which has been a 5K every morning. So I decided so just for a little backstory. So I reclaimed my mornings, is what I call it, right? So for the past 3 years, I've gotten up at 3:45 in the morning to go and coach at the gym, right? And so before, my routine was wake up, coffee, journal, shower, that kind of thing.
Your mic is jiggling.
Oh, sorry. So I decided a couple of weeks ago that I was going to redo my routine, right? My morning routine. And so I decided, I just thought, what do I want to do? What do I want to do? And so I said, maybe I'll run, right? So I decided I would get up the next morning and have a coffee and then go run. And so I did, and I ran 5K, and I thought, maybe I didn't run it like this is not like go sprint, right? This is just clear your head, jog, and kind of like a meditation, right? And so ran 5K, came back, took the dog for a walk. And taking the dog for a walk was probably the coolest part of the whole routine. So I've done that for 9 days. Today will be the 10th day. So I'm going to go do that right now. 5K jog, take the dog for a walk, and then start my day. So that's my new morning routine. How about that?
That is awesome. And let me tell you, and I say this with all seriousness, I am so fortunate, so incredibly fortunate to have people like you in my life and the people around me in my life that are always changing things up and an effort to lead a better life. I mean, I think that's awesome that you've decided I want to reclaim my mornings, so I'm gonna do this, and that may change and it may go a different direction, but it continues to go forward, and I think that's what's so impressive and powerful. I'm just fortunate to be able to wake up with the excitement of getting out of bed and coming to talk to you on this podcast this morning, because it's something to be excited about. And we need things to be excited about. I was talking to Amanda last night who shared with me. She said, I just today I was thinking she had read something that I had written. She'd caught up on a couple of my blogs, and she said, I want to write. I think it would be fun to write. And it was great to say, by all means, I would love to read it. I would love to read it every day, whether you put it out there or not. Go for it. And I just have these people that just do things. They change things up. And man, it really, I know so well what it's like to wake up every morning and feel like, I just can't do this again. I can't get up, take a shower, and go through the same monotonous, boring ass life that I'm leading. And the other side of that is what I have now, which is you just don't even know what to expect, but everything coming at you, it's just fun as hell.
Yeah, well, I was going to say we're all equally fortunate to know you. And do you think that you naturally attract people into your life like that? Like, do you think that because of the way that we think about things, we naturally attract people that think the same way?
It's impossible for me to feel any different than that. My first instinct is to say, no, that's just mumbo jumbo. That's just things just happen the way that they happen, and you can't really do that. But I spent a lot of time inventorying my life and the way that I've lived and the patterns that I see, and it's impossible to say anything other than you told that you have positive people who want positive things and they make positive changes, and you're just dead-ended into other people who want those things.
Yep.
And it's phenomenal. And if you believe that way and you feel that way and you expect those people to be in your life, you find those people. And when I wake up in the morning, I expect really awesome things to happen. Sometimes I expect things that aren't realistic, but that's fun to me. I think it's fun to expect things that are, way out in right field, that the probability of them happening are really very small. But I like to hold out hope for that. And if nothing else, I have fun pretending.
Right.
So it beats the hell out of dreading. But man, I've enjoyed this. I want to do this. We're going to do this regularly, huh?
Yes, sir.
All right. We'll pick a blog a few times a week, and we'll kind of go over and review that blog and have topics based on what is written through Breakfast with Beefcake. Have a good day, Vaughn.
All right. You too, man. See you later.